also been like when I entered video games, even by the time I'd only been in the industry 2 or 3 years, we would all go to the game developers conference, and all of us independent developers would be complaining about how AAA developers wouldn't take any risks and they didn't have that much creativity and all that, right? And so we already thought it was a problem back then, but yes, it's much more of a problem today than it was back then. It just keeps getting worse, right? So I don't have a solution to that. I mean, I sort of did at one time, and that happened. So I wrote this manifesto about all this in 2002, about how, look, it's not surprising that they don't take risks because these games are so expensive. And if you're going to lose all that money, you're not going to get more money. People aren't going to trust you with it, right? So it's not surprising that people are very conservative in that context. And so if we want creativity in game design, the place to do it is at smaller budget levels, right? So the place for creativity to happen is for indie developers to take the risks at low budget levels. And then that can create, like if an indie makes a game mechanic that people like, that can create a pathway for higher budget level games to do that thing. And that has happened actually since then over and over. That was actually the idea behind this thing that I did at the GDC for a while called the Experimental Gameplay Workshop. It's since been taken over by people who have totally corrupted it, and it's no longer the cool thing that it used to be. But but I don't just mean with regard to that workshop, but like the whole industry has ended up working like this. So there's all these things that are game mechanics in AAA games that came from small indie projects, right? So like what is one of the generic things that we have going on right now is we have all these hero shooters where you have skills and you have an ultimate that you build up, and then you can use it at the right moment and do something really powerful. And it's like all that came from Dota, which was a Warcraft mod made by just like some dude, right?
Yeah.
Or like I think tower defense came first, and that was just like a mod, and then Dota was like a mod for tower defense or something. I don't exactly remember how it worked, but that was essentially, that project was so indie it wasn't even really commercial at all, right? And yet that was now the foundation of one of the ideas that all these AAA developers can't even get away from. They just keep doing it over and over, right? And that has happened repeatedly in many so like battle royales, when those were big for a while, right? Those, like, obviously, PUBG was pretty big, but that got, I forget what that dude's smaller thing was before that. I think it was also a mod.
The
You see it every.
Arma or Rust.
It might have been an Arma mod.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. But the point being, you just see this literally everywhere, is that the experimentation happens, it catches on. Okay, so here's another place where it happened so quickly and burned itself out so quickly that you could see the entire cycle, right? Which is all the auto battler games.
Oh yeah.
Where like somebody had like a Dota 2 mod that was like auto chess or something.
Oh,
and
this
then
was Valve original thing, I think.
No. Valve cloned it. Some indie guys had the original auto chess mod, and they tried to sell it to Valve, and Valve was like, no, we'll just build our own. I think is the way it played out. But then like all these other companies made their own auto battlers, and there was like the year of the auto battler because these were so easy to put together. And then it turned out people didn't really want to play this game that much. It just was exciting because it was a little bit new, and it burned itself out within literally like a year or 2 years, maybe. I don't know. So you can see these things happen. And that's really the only place that innovation comes from anymore, is like smaller indies. And the thing that bums me out is that most indie games are actually not that creative either. They're just making some game with slightly different characters and slightly different mechanics. But sometimes sometimes games are still trying to be different, and that's literally all the design life that we have left in the game industry. It's not coming from the high budget companies at all.
Why?